All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, Mary, to our amazing show with Mind, Body, and Soul. So, Lifestyle Tips with Alex and Mary. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic. I'm always so much better on the days I get to talk to Alex Winningham, right? So it's a good day for me. And it's the last day of March. We're wrapping up this first quarter and this month, and spring is in the air. It's going to be warm this week. It's just so much to be grateful for.
Yes, I totally agree with everything that you are saying. So I am plugging in, let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
I wanted to plug in my microphone so it sounds better. So yeah, I can hear you great. Okay, so today's a really special day because we're going into spring, and like you said, we're coming out of the first quarter of the year, and it's the last day of March. And there's March Madness going on. There's all kind of cool things. So before we jump into what's going to be an amazing conversation, where we're going to be talking about the 10 must-have stock pantry items for busy people. And so this message is going to be for you if you feel like you're really busy and you just have a hard time fitting in the meals for yourself or your family. And we're going to talk about why that can help your mind, your body, and your soul. So before we do, I'm going to brag on Mary just for a second. Is that okay?
Who, me?
Yes, you. Yes. And I'm so honored to have you here because, Mary, you've been in my life for at least 4 to 5 years, maybe longer. Yeah, it's been a long time. And I remember the first time I met you, I thought of, wow, she's got amazing joy. She has amazing energy, and she is out here to help entrepreneurs like rock their lives. And you're a speaker, you're an author, you're a coach, a leader, a community builder, and most awesomely, you're a mom and you're a wife, you're a sister, daughter, volunteer, you're all the things. And so for you to carve out some time to come on the show and share your brand new magic meal planning system with us just means so much, because I know it's launching this Friday. So out of all the people that you could spend time with to come and share this program with, I just want to say thank you for.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. And it's been just a pleasure and a joy to know you and watch you along your journey of growth and in your business, and how you're able to use your talents to serve other people now too, and build your team and everything that you're doing to help people with their mind, their body, and their soul, right? So I'm super happy to be here and to talk to you about whatever we end up talking about today.
Yes, because there's so many different directions that we could go in, because you have over 25 years of experience in communication, administration, and marketing, both international companies and locally owned businesses. So you have so many skills that you bring to the table for business owners. So today we're going to be focusing on just one part of Mary's business, but the name of her company is called Success Magnified, and she helps anybody that wants to increase their productivity. She's even an accountability partner that you can hire to be able to help you be more accountable to the goals that you're setting. She's a speaker in different groups that I've been privileged to go to, even just in the last month to 2 months, and She Leads with Beth Bowen. So if you're in business and you're a woman, you've got to check out She Leads. Contact Mary. She'll get you cued in.
Definitely, yes.
So that is my little introduction of you, but please expand upon anything. Just tell us who you are and what are we going to talk about today? What is this magic meal planning system, and why did you decide to do this?
Great. Yeah. You might be wondering, okay, so she's a business coach. What does this have to do with meal planning? How does that tie together? It's really all about productivity, right? And lowering your stress. If you are an entrepreneur, or if you've been in business, or even if you're an employee for somebody else, but in a stressful job, the last question you want to answer at the end of a long day is, what's for dinner? Right? That question used to drive me crazy when I was working full time and my girls were still at home and they were very active and I was volunteering and my husband was working. I drive home, rush home, try and grab some dinner before going on to the next thing with the kids. And that you walk in the door, you maybe had a stressful day at work, and you're just like hit with that question, what's for dinner? Oh, it made my blood pressure boil. What do you mean, what's for dinner? Why do I always have to decide it, right? Decision fatigue is a real thing. And now we've all spent the last 18 months in this COVID pandemic, and maybe you've been at home with your family for the last, year and a half or year and 3 months or whatever, year, whatever. It seems like forever,
10
right?
years. I've been stuck in my
10
home
years.
for 10 years.
For the last 10 years, we've been locked in our houses with our family. And so that question is coming up every day. You're having to answer that question. And it can be overwhelming. It can be stressful. And you end up spending a lot more money because you're going to the grocery store more often. You're without a plan, or you're going to, order out, or you're driving through, and, so that ends up costing you a lot more money. And you're not eating as healthy as you maybe could be if you're cooking at home. So all of those things, my mind as a business coach works in big picture and small systems. So I help people really break down the big picture vision of their business, where they want to go, what they want to achieve. And then I help them break that down into the small steps that they need to get there. And so my mind thinks in systems, and I've always done meal planning as a system. I just grew up with it. I'm one of 8 children, so I grew up in a family of 10 with my 2 parents and my siblings. And so my mom had to plan meals, right? So she could feed all of us all the time, and economically feed all of us, and go to the grocery store one time a week. Like, that was the thing. You didn't go to the store every day or every other day to go get something. You went once a week and you got everything you needed for the week, and you ate what you had in the house. So it eliminates food waste. It saves you time and energy. I always say a good system is an acronym for save yourself time, energy, and money. So that's what a good system does. And so that's why I created the Magic Meal Planning System, to help people, busy entrepreneurs, busy people, busy parents, to really plan out their meals for the week so that they can have that at-home dining experience, saving themselves time, energy, and money, right? And if you can save yourself time, energy, and money, that's good for your mind, your body, and your soul.
It is. Yes. And that's that's why I brought you on today, because there's so much that you do that help entrepreneurs and busy people with their mind. Because if we are experiencing stress in our lives, it affects the way we think, it affects the way that we show up. And so this is just one less thing that, head of household has to do.
Right.
Coming home. Yeah. So you're one of 8 children.
Yes.
Okay. So, and with your mom and the way that you were raised, did she have I may have missed this, so I apologize. Did you say she had a system kind of like this?
I don't remember her having it written down, but I'm sure she did. Because she planned meals. I know she only went to the grocery store once a week, and then she had meals, we ate at home most of the time because we lived in a small town. There wasn't a lot of restaurant options, and to take 10 people out to dinner is a big expense. So, so really, we had dinner at home almost every night, even though we were all busy or had friends in or whatever. And so she had to have had a plan. Unfortunately, she passed away last year, so I can't ask her about her shopping habits, her list making habits, but I created something. I've done it as long as I can remember. And both of my girls, who are in their 20s, they both do it too. When we went to visit my daughter a few weeks ago in Grand Junction, I, went to pull something out of the fridge, and it was so cute to see her little meal plan for the week up on her refrigerator. So I was like, oh, they paid attention. They learned this from me. And it really does it takes away that stress of having to make one more decision at the end of a long working day, right? So 30 minutes of planning can really save you a lot of stress during the week. And if you have kids at home, or a spouse or a significant other or something, or roommates, they also can easily know what's for dinner, and maybe you can enlist them in helping prepare a meal, right? So the list that I'm going to have available for you guys has 10 10 must-stock pantry items, and then 5 easy meals you can make from those items. So if you've got teenagers at home, teach them to cook. Make them responsible for quesadilla night. It doesn't take a lot to make a quesadilla, right? So I got my girls in the kitchen early so they could help, learn to cook and feel like they were contributing to the family. And but if they know what they have, they know all the ingredients are in the house. There's no excuse for them not to make the meal or not to help out, right? So I think that's a good thing as well, for everybody to be able to contribute to, feeding the family.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Can we go over these 10 must-stock pantry items?
Yes.
Great.
So again, we probably all have a lot of stuff in our house. If you've lived in your house for a long time. I have college-age students, so they're out of risk, just out of college. So
out of risk,
yeah. They had roommates, and so they're like, "Oh, do we have soy sauce or what? Who has cumin?" Right? So some of us have more stocked pantries than others, but here's some basics you can keep if you can keep these things handy, you can make a wide variety of meals on the fly, usually in under 15 to 20 minutes, and you've got your family fed, and you can answer that question, what's for dinner? And it doesn't have to drive you crazy, because you always have some go-to meals to go to. Okay, I'm going to jump in. So, of course, I'm not a nutritionist. My daughter got a degree as a dietitian, but I do not have one. So, by all means, you can substitute. If you've got dietary restrictions, you probably know a substitute for these items that I'm going to talk about already. So, if you can't eat eggs, you probably have a substitute that you've worked out for eggs, right? If you can't eat cheese or dairy, you probably have found a substitute for those kind of things. So I'm going to go through the basic ones, but again, modify it to however you need to for your dietary needs.
Great.
So I'm going to pull it over here so I can see my list. All right, so the number one thing is eggs. They can be kept in your refrigerator for up to 5 weeks, so they can last a long time. They're relatively inexpensive, and you can make so many things from eggs, right? You can have them hard-boiled or scrambled or fried. You can make an omelet. You can make a frittata. You can make quiches. So again, if you can't eat eggs, there's lots of the egg-free dairy substitutes that you can find in the grocery store, so you can use that as well. But they're really amazing, versatile food that you can eat for a great quick source of protein. We have veggie omelets a lot in the evening, my husband and I, because it's like, let's use up whatever's in the veggie drawer and throw some eggs in a pan, and we got a veggie omelet. It's easy, it's quick, and it's delicious.
It is, yes.
Number 2 is cheese. So I just want to let people know, you don't have to be taking notes. I do have this as a downloadable on my website, so I'll give you the link at the end so you can see all of this list of 10, and you get the 5 recipes as well. So you don't need to frantically be taking notes if you're doing that. Let's see. So cheese. Good old-fashioned grilled cheese sandwich, super quick and easy, but you can put cheese on anything from your eggs to your casseroles. And it's freezable, so if you've got shredded cheese in a bag, you can throw it in the freezer and pull it out when you need it, so you always have some on hand. Next one is tortillas, right? Quesadillas, as I mentioned earlier, was one of the first things my girls learned to make, because it's super easy. They can make it without too much parental supervision, and you can throw whatever you want. You can make it just plain cheese, or you can throw in veggies and even eggs and make them breakfast quesadillas. You can do anything with tortillas, cheese, and eggs, right? There's so many varieties.
Anything, yes.
And, if you always keep a couple of cans of the green chilies on hand, throw those in there, and they're delicious. But you can add veggies, whatever you need to. The next one is rice, or the grain of your choice. So again, if you're low carb, watching some of those starches, right, you can substitute other grains for rice, like quinoa or farro or barley, some of those that are a little less starchy. So whatever grain you prefer, always have them on hand, because you can always make a quick stir fry. You can always make stir fried rice, adding in a protein, adding in a vegetable. They're really hearty, filling, and you can make them sweet. So some of them, like farro or barley, maybe a little harder to make sweet, but with rice or quinoa, you can make them sweet. If you need something sweet for a dessert, you can add some sugar or some milk or something to it to make it sweet or savory. The next one is beans. So canned beans, or, if you want to get the bag, if you're really efficient, you can get the bags of, the hard beans. They just take so long to cook that I usually just buy the canned ones. Sometimes you have to watch your sodium on those, so just be careful what you're buying. Look at the label. But whatever your favorite bean is, refried beans, black beans, kidney beans, garbanzo beans, there's so many things you can throw that into your quesadillas, into casseroles, into burritos. You've got cheese and tortillas already, right? So throw a can of refried beans and you've got instant burritos. So you can toss them into quesadillas, some soups, whatever you have. So always have some beans on hand. Two favorite like aromatics are onions and garlic. I always have at least one onion in the house.
I love
Some
onions.
people don't like onions or can't tolerate onions, but if you can, I always have an onion in the house. And our rule is if onion is on the grocery list, always grab two just in case, right?
Just in case.
My kids always know that too. And you can add an onion to almost any kind of savory dish, and it just adds an extra layer of flavor. And if you have garlic, I usually just buy the big bulk thing of minced garlic and keep it in the refrigerator. And so you can just go grab a spoonful of garlic. You don't have to worry about peeling and mincing and all that stuff. It's super easy to throw garlic into anything too. And I love garlic and onion. Yes. So for your protein, to have some protein on hand in your pantry, you can have some canned chicken or tuna. Some people don't like fish, but you can buy canned chicken, which is really pretty good. It's usually white breast meat. But it's nice to just be able to open a can, drain it, and throw it in a salad, throw it in your quesadilla, whatever you want to do. Throw it in casseroles. So that's really quick and easy way to have a protein. And then pasta and sauce. So again, your favorite pasta, if you're trying to do low carb, you can always, there's so many varieties of pasta out there now. So in your local grocery store. So there's quinoa pasta, which we've tried a couple of times and I really like it. It doesn't do well for leftovers. It gets kind of mushy by the second time you reheat it, but it's really good the first time. You won't even really notice the difference. So try one of those, or there's veggie pasta, or there's high fiber pasta, or, you know, whole wheat. So you can try different kinds of pasta to have on hand. And then always just keep a plain jar of sauce. You can always doctor it up. If you got onions and garlic, always throw that in there, right? So you've doctored up your plain tomato sauce or pasta sauce. But I always have those on hand because you can always make spaghetti and sauce, right? Or pasta and sauce. That's a quick meal. Frozen veggies. So I love vegetables, and you know, if you've got people that are in your house that don't necessarily like to eat vegetables, grab some frozen ones and start sticking them in all these other things. You know, buy the Mexican corn. I think it's like corn and peppers and black beans. It's in the frozen section, or you can get it in a can as well. And throw that in your quesadilla. They won't even realize they're eating vegetables, right? So there's some fun ways to trick people into getting more veggies in their diet. But you can always keep, you know, like I said, I always have an onion in my house. So when I have an onion and I'm only using half of it for a recipe, I'll dice up the rest of it and put it in a little freezer bag and press it flat. Then when I need to just break off a piece of onion for some scrambled eggs or something, you can just grab a piece, break off a chunk of the frozen chopped onion and throw it in your eggs. Oh. So they freeze really well, and it's always nice to have just some pre-chopped frozen onions. So then you can just, you know, if you're in a real hurry, you can just get them out of the freezer and add them to whatever you're doing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, frozen, whatever your frozen vegetable of choice is, you know, there's so many things you can throw them into, casseroles, and, you know, frozen broccoli, you can turn that into pesto, just blend it up, throw in some Parmesan cheese and throw it on your pasta, right? So simple ways you can use that. And then a frozen pizza, you know, some people were like, you're going to put that on your must stock items. There's, again, like with pasta, there's so many frozen pizzas out there that you can really choose one based on your own dietary restrictions. We love the ones from Costco. It's called Milton's, and it's a cauliflower crust, and it's got roasted veggies on top, and it is really, really good for pizza. So, you know, maybe not compared to a Chicago deep dish pizza, but it's pretty good for coming right out of the freezer and something you can eat in 20 minutes, right? It's a nice little hand thing to have on hand. But whatever your family's favorite pizza is, always keep one or two of those in the fridge, in the freezer, so you have that go-to meal if you're really in a hurry and you don't want to have to cook anything. Again, you can always doctor them up by throwing on more veggies or more cheese or whatever your family likes. Mm-hmm. So those are kind of the 10 must-stock pantry items. And so like I said, I'll put a link to this, or Alex can put a link to this on the chat, and you can go to my website and download this document by the end of today. But there's 5 recipes that I've included, and they each take less than 30 minutes to make. So if you've got these things in your pantry, you can easily make these with just maybe a few other ingredients that you probably have on hand as well. So there's a recipe for blackjack quesadillas, which have black beans in them, that are black beans and corn. There's a recipe for chicken fried rice. There's a recipe for chicken tortilla bake. there's a recipe for a black bean pasta bowl, and then there's a recipe for a tuna pasta bake. So again, if you're gluten-free and or cheese-free or whatever, you're thinking, oh, I can't eat any of those things, there's a way you can eat them. You've probably found the substitutes already. So think outside the box a little bit, and then stock the things that you can eat that make it easy for you to prepare a meal at home. So again, that comes down to the meal planning piece, right? So you just take a little bit of planning and say, I want to make sure I have these things in stock so that I can always have a go-to meal, so that when I get to 4:30 in the afternoon and my stomach's growling and the kids are, yelling, what's for dinner? I'm hungry. Then you can say, hey, let's have, bean quesadillas, black bean quesadillas tonight. We got everything we need in the house. We can make them in 15 minutes and be eating dinner and be on our way. So that's kind of the whole thing in a nutshell. What do you think of that? I've been talking for a little bit. So.
It's great. It's so good. I like how you mentioned, like, someone could look at that list and be like, well, I'm gluten-free, I'm dairy-free, or whatever, even vegan. But you can make, you already know, I was vegetarian for like a year, and I think maybe for like a week in that I was vegan. It was very hard. And said the vegan part, like, you really have to eat the right foods. So like, you can't just be vegan and be like, well, I eat French fries and chips. Like, no, that's not good.
Right.
Anyway, whatever. It can't, maybe it is good, and I didn't find success with it. So, but I like how you mentioned that there's substitutes. Like, we already know what the substitutes are for those of us that are, practicing gluten-free or need to do that, or dairy-free. And then you have your 5 recipes, which is great. So, what is this magic meal planning system? So we're talking about the top 10. What is this system that you're actually helping? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So it's, here's a copy of my little planner pad that you get as part of the system. And so really it consists of just taking 30 minutes in your week and planning out what are your meals for the week, right? Sunday through Saturday, there's a little space to write them in. And then there's attached to the grocery store list, right? Designed by department in your grocery store. So it makes it more efficient. Again, we're saving time, energy, and money, right? So how can we make it more efficient to get through the grocery store? And this is not a digital, you can digitally download this, but it's meant to be printed out and carried with you to the store. I know there's so many apps out there that you can, put a grocery list on, which those are all great. I'm all for any way you can make yourself more efficient and save money at the grocery store. I am a list person, and I don't want to be looking at the screen in the grocery store. That is one of kind of my pet peeves, is people are constantly looking, or, so anyway, if you do that, that's fine, as long as you have a list. Shopping without a list is so dangerous and it's so expensive. So always have a list, whether it's on your phone or you use the Magic Meal Planner list. But anyway, so you go through, you write down your meals, you write down the ingredients you need, you look at what's in your pantry already. So we're saving on food waste because we're using what we have, right? When I mentioned that my mom went to the grocery store once and we ate what we had in the house. So if you wanted something else, you had to wait, put it on the list for the next week and make sure it got purchased, or you didn't get it, right? So so that's one thing that this system does as well, is it really helps you to use what you buy, because there's a section at the bottom of this planner that says total spent. So I like to write in what I spend, because it's an investment. You're investing in your health by buying this good food at the grocery store. And so if we let that food go to waste, we've just wasted our investment, right? And it's easy to do. You buy that bag of salad thinking, I'm going to have salads for lunch this week, and then you don't. And then the next week you look at it and it's like turned to green soup, right? And you're like, oh, that was a waste of $3.25 or whatever it costs you. But it's that waste of food. And that is a big problem in the United States. We have people that are going hungry, and at the same time we throw out so much food. So if you have a system, you have a plan, this is what we're going to eat this week, and this is what we've already purchased, everything we know that we need to make these meals. So and here's how much we spent on this food. So again, is that mind and body piece, right? So it's in your mind, like, okay, I've spent this money, I've spent the time and energy to go get this food. I want to make sure I eat it.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt I felt like, oh my God, she's been in my house. How did she know? How
I
did
have
she
a
know
bag of
my
green
salad
soup.
turns to green soup?
I just did that last week, even though I have a plan. You know, I had this extra bag. It wasn't on my list, but I was like, ooh, a bag of salad for lunches next week. And it
Yeah.
got put in the drawer, the bottom of the drawer, you know, and I pulled out other vegetables on top of it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot that was down there. And it's like, it's a little
Uh,
soggy already. So it happens, right? It happens.
yeah.
But if like, again, it's better than if you just go to the store when you're hungry or at the end of the day and you're like, oh, I just need to pick up 3 things and you end up picking up 20 things, right? Because
Oh,
you're
yeah.
grabbing things randomly off the shelves.
Mhm.
It can really add up quickly. And so you'll be amazed at when you do have a plan for your meals for the week and you go to the grocery store, you get, you know, what you need and you eat it, you'll be amazed at how much money you start saving, even though you don't realize it, right? Because you're like, oh, we always eat what we buy, but you
Right.
don't. So,
No.
or you always buy extra stuff that aren't on your list. And not to say that I never buy things that aren't on my list, right? I do that still sometimes, but just having the list to start with is always a good idea.
Mhm.
And knowing and having, I like having the meals. Like I said, before I designed this planner pad, I used to just do it on a piece of paper, which is fine too. But then I would just make my grocery list on a piece of paper.
Mhm.
And sometimes I get to the store and I'd be like, why did I need canned tomatoes and how many do I need? I forgot to write down how many, you know, so now I can see, oh, these are the meals I have.
Mhm.
And this is what I need it for. So I can refer back to this easily and say, oh yeah, I need canned tomatoes for this meal and this meal. I better get 3 of them or whatever. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm totally guilty. I go to the grocery store hungry and I always buy more than I need. And I always buy like something like, what can I open as soon as I get into the car?
Yeah.
So I can eat something on the way home because I'm starving, you know? And
Yes.
like, oh,
Yeah.
the sugar sounds good. Like, no,
Yeah.
it doesn't. And same thing with Costco. I was just watching a video from a comedian and he like does all these skits or whatever, like makes up all these things like stereotype, you know, people like
Yeah.
even going into Costco and being like, oh, you know I don't need 5 pounds of whatever, but you know,
Yeah.
it's so cheap. It's only $4.99. So like that
Yeah.
can be really dangerous too. In
Yeah.
those and people that are listening that maybe we had someone tune in from England a couple weeks ago, so maybe they don't have Costco, but basically Costco is like a warehouse where you get everything at wholesale pricing, and it's so great, but also so dangerous because you're like, oh
Bulk
my god,
pricing. Yes.
making
Yes.
so much money.
Yeah.
$335 later, you're like, guess
Yeah.
I didn't. Whatever. We just pretend like that transaction didn't happen, which that's not
Yes.
healthy. So your list, your magic meal program, it's just wonderful. It's genius
Yes.
because you're right. You know, when you go to the grocery store and you know exactly what you need, and then you remember why you need it,
Mm-hmm.
and you just check it off. It saves you time and it saves you money because you know what you're going in for, and it doesn't hurt to have a little snack before you go to the store.
Right.
Just
Right.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you can go during off hours, right? During COVID, we've all had to kind of
Mm.
change the way we've done our shopping. And so if you've switched to going to the online ordering system, that's fantastic too. You can still use the system, write out your meals, write out what you need, and then go on to Instacart or whatever, your local grocery store, and order it online. But then you can go by department. This is what I need in produce. This is what I need in dairy. So you're not like scrolling through, what do I need? Where do, you know exactly what you need for each recipe. And we still shop at Costco, right? So bulk stuff. I was a part of a four women who we would cook once a month and freeze all the meals for the month while our kids were
Oh.
little. We did that for 10 years. And so I still buy in bulk and break it down and freeze it into smaller packages. So I always have, like if I buy the bulk hamburger or bulk, meat or whatever, cheese or whatever, then I always break it down into smaller freezable containers and then always have I can pull out just a pound at a time. So if it does save you money and you take that little bit of extra prep time and actually freeze it when you get home, it can be really worthwhile. And, there's certain things we like at Costco. We buy our fruits and veggies for our sludgies in the morning, smoothies. We call them sludgies because they're really thick. but we buy all of our berries and all that kind of stuff at Costco because we know we're going to use them up, that week. So if you have favorite things that you buy there, bulk shopping can save you money and time. I usually just, when I put it on the list, I put a C in front of the things that we're going to buy at Costco, and I take the list with me, and I was like, okay, this is everything we're going to get at Costco. And our rule there is, because it can get expensive, so our rule is if you average everything you put in your cart is $10. So if you have 10 things in your cart, it's going to be $100. That's a pretty good rule of thumb. Some things are more, some things are less. But if you just say I've got 10 items, it's going to be about $100. It's a good way to kind of manage yourself before you get to the checkout at Costco.
Yeah, totally. Well,
Yeah.
and you're right. So you mentioned something else that has inspired me. We were talking, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and then I was like, oh my God, we got to talk about this on the show so people can hear about everything that you're doing, because people need this in their life. And you had mentioned your sludgies, right? Your sludgies, your smoothies. And so it reminded me, so I was at Costco and I bought this like huge bag of spinach. So I've been like making like spinach smoothies, and then I put like an apple and I cut it up obviously. And then with like some celery and kale, and it's been amazing. Like it just helps me like feel really good going into the day, especially when I used to work outside of the home. I would bring a smoothie with me all the time, and I pre-make them so they'd be ready to go. And the thing is, like with smoothies or slushies or sludges, you don't make too many because they kind of separate and it's kind of weird and it's not as fresh. So like, but it's so quick and simple. So if you're running out of ideas, it sounds like there's two things we can do because the vegetables and the fruits are two things that people are like, well, I buy them with good intentions, but then they go bad. So if you can do like you're saying, sauteed vegetables and with eggs or an egg substitute, it's so good. I've been starting to put broccoli into my my morning breakfast. Like when I don't have a smoothie, I usually have eggs or like oatmeal. So I'm not putting the broccoli in my oatmeal and eggs. So like using your vegetables in your egg omelet, or even sauteed vegetables with like some rice and beans, and like I make my own like little sauces with like vegan mayonnaise and some tahini sauce, and it's really yummy, and like soy sauce, it's so good. And then, but other than that, like, and then use you can use like, is spinach a vegetable? It is, right?
It is, yeah.
Some, you know how they say like some like cucumber, I think is like a fruit because it has seeds in it. I don't know.
Right. And avocados are fruit, tomatoes are fruit, even though we think of them as vegetables. But
I say like if it's sweet, it's a fruit. If it's not, it's a vegetable. I don't care. Like that's how I separate the two. So, but I don't know where I was going with that distinction of fruits and vegetables, but
the sludgies are really great. And so my husband likes to have them a certain way, so he doesn't let me vary the recipe, but our recipe is really simple. We have the NutriBullet, so it makes it super easy, but it's an apple, and we have one of those core sectioner things that you punch down. It's in 8 sections. The core is popped out. Get one of those. They're like $3 at the grocery store. They're amazing. So the apple goes in there. We typically have cuties on hand, so a mandarin orange, peel one of those, throw it in there. A handful of blueberries, handful of raspberries, and then pack the rest with spinach, as much as can go in there. Put a little water in there and blend it up, and it's great. My husband drinks it like a shot, like a whole glass. He'll just like glug, 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 glug. But at least we started the day with our fruits and vegetables. We, whatever we eat for the rest of the day, we've at least started on a good note. We've got some fluids in us. We've got, but there's lots of things you can, throw in a smoothie or a sludgy to make it, even more powerful, more greens. I tried to add celery or ginger, or if I add anything, he's like, what's in this? It tastes different. So, whatever, I'm going to get you to drink the meal, the thing that you have, whatever it takes to get you to drink those fruits and vegetables, at least is a good start. So if you've got picky kids, maybe like my picky husband, find the fruits and vegetable mix that they like, and they are green and they're thick. So that's why we call them sludgies, but they're easy to drink in just a few minutes, and you feel like, okay, at least I started my day in a healthy way.
Totally agree. It was really impactful. Anytime I talk to you, it's impactful, and I make changes in my life. So what else should we cover in the rest of our time together when it comes to anything else around magic meal planning, around healthy habits, making life easier when it comes to food and cooking? Is there anything that we missed that you feel like we should cover?
I'll tell you a couple of tips that I've learned over the years. I mean, I love to cook. Not everybody loves to cook. I realize that. And
Yeah.
not everybody has skills to cook, right? But there's some basic things you can learn that will really help you in the long run. So, having a good pan to a good skillet will help. So a nonstick skillet or aluminum if you prefer, but making sure you have a decent set of cookware is always a good investment because you'll use it for years and years. And if you're cooking at home 5 nights a week, that's a good thing to have so that it's less frustrating.
Yeah.
One of the things I do on our meal planner, I plan a night for leftovers because I try to cook 5 or 6 nights a week. And so I plan a night for leftovers, or I call it mystery night. So it's like, okay, we're eating out of the pantry. So we're all on our own, and whatever you can find. If you want to have cereal for dinner, perfect. I'm not cooking, or you can just call it a no cook night. So everybody's on their own to find something out of the freezer, out of the fridge, out of the pantry. So you don't have to cook every single night. You can make some fun things like that.
I love it.
And I usually plan one night out where we're going to eat out, right? So we do like to go out to restaurants. We do like to go out and grab a pizza at our local pizza joint and support the local people, especially during after COVID, all the restaurants are trying to survive. So we want to try and help support our local neighborhood restaurants. So we try to go out once a week and just, know that we're going to have that built into our menu each week. The other tips that I wanted to talk about were, if you go online, this is a new thing I just learned and I'm sharing it with everybody I know because it's brilliant. So if you've ever looked at recipes online, you go to Pinterest, you go to wherever you are, and there's always that long, like they talk about the recipe here, and then there's pictures, and then there's ads, and then there's the story of their grandmother and how she came from this country and made this, and then they tried it with this, and you have to scroll like 5 minutes to get to the actual recipe, and then it's kind of built into the story, and you're like, I just want to know what's in it and how to make it.
Yes.
So you can go to, it's called justtherecipe.app. So open up a browser and put that in there, justtherecipe.app. And then you cut the URL from the one with all the story in it. Just cut the URL from there, paste it in justtherecipe.app. It scans it. It says, here's the ingredients. Here's the recipe. Boom. Done.
What?
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yes.
Justtherecipe.app. That's a new tool I just learned about. And then if you get stuck with, I don't even know what to make. Like, I have this stuff in my fridge. I made it, I look at this meal planner and I'm like, writer's block, right? You see this blank page and you're like, I don't know what to have. So I have some tips for that. When you buy the system, I have some tips to kind of walk you through what your week looks like and that kind of stuff, so you can plan accordingly. So if you've got a busy family and you're scattered everywhere, you can kind of plan some meals around that. Also included with the Magic Meal Planning System is 6 weeks of meals of plans. So I go through I give you 6 weeks plus all the recipes for those weeks. Again, you can substitute, they're not always according to whatever diet you're on, but these are some generic meals that you can make. And there's some fun themes in there too. I always like to do fun theme weeks. So like I have one that's International Week. So every meal is from a different country, and some of them, they're Americanized versions of of what we would think of as, Italian food or something like that. But, and then I have another one that's called Eating Around the USA. So every night there's a regional cuisine from somewhere in the United States, or a specialty from somewhere in the United States. So you can make it really fun, even if it's just for you. You can say, hey, I'm eating international all week long, and I'm not going to ordering out food. I'm eating in, and I'm eating healthier, but I can make these same versions of whatever this international food is. I can make it in the house. And then I like to have little fun things like, ooh, let's learn how to say please and thank you in that language, or let's have music from that country, or something like that too. So when I do theme weeks, you can always add it in. It's not only the food, but let's learn a little bit about the culture of the country that we're eating this food from. So and then one more tip. I have so many tips. I could talk about cooking and food and eating.
I'm taking notes over here. I'm like, I am on this. Let's go. Keep going.
So one more thing. If you need cookbooks, I used to collect cookbooks. So I have so many cookbooks that I've never even opened, but I just like the idea of them.
Yeah.
So get them out and, go with your magic meal planner and flip through, randomly pick a page or pick what you think you have on hand. If you've got some meat in the freezer you need to use up, chicken or beef or whatever, go to the chicken section of one of your one of your cookbooks and say, what can I make with this chicken? What sounds good to me? I just did that this week. I got a new cookbook. And so my husband and I went to the park because it was nice over the weekend. And we just sat in the park and I was flipped through the cookbook and it's like, okay, this looks really good. This looks really good. I have this, we can make this. And so I had my planner pad and I just planned out the meals all from that one cookbook. And then I just wrote down the page numbers of the cookbook, next to the meal, so I would know which page to go to. And so it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be this big thing. You can use the cookbooks you already have in your kitchen, or a great resource for finding recipes. Of course, Google anything. You can Google it. Go to Pinterest, follow your favorite food bloggers. But you can also just go to the Goodwill store or go to your local library now that they're open again. Check out a cookbook for 3 weeks, find the recipes you love, and then if you love it, make a copy of it or, write it down so you have a copy and then return the cookbook. You don't have to invest any money, right? We're already paying for the public libraries with our taxes. So pay your taxes and go to the library. Use your tax dollars. So, Goodwill stores, used bookstores, there's always garage sales. You can always find cookbooks. So find one or two that you like and then actually use them. Flip through them, find some recipes, and challenge yourself. I also have a challenge that's in this list. If you go download this top 10 pantry items to have and the recipes, there's a challenge in there to see how long you can go without going to the grocery store. How many meals can you make out of the food that you already have in your house before you have to go to the grocery store? It's always a fun challenge. Sometimes I'll do a whole week where we're just going to eat what we have in the house. And so it's a fun challenge to see. It's a fun as a cook. Like you said, you can throw together little sauces and you've learned how to do that kind of stuff. So there's fun challenges. You can say, okay, we're not going to go to the grocery store this week. So what do we have in the house that we can eat? And we've just been through winter with some big snowstorms in Colorado, right? So we've been stuck in the house for 3 or 4 days. And during pandemic, everybody's been stuck in the house. So what have you stockpiled in your house that you need to eat up that you can reuse? You've invested that money in that food, so eat it and then go get some more.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, such great tips. And just to throw in a little seed, a little promotion. So Mary actually has a book called Vitamin C3 for Business, 52 Ideas to Connect, Contribute, and Celebrate Your Way to Success. It's an amazing book. I know so many. There it is.
There it is.
Yay.
So I love my book. It's so happy.
It is so happy. And it's stock full of information around how you can contribute and connect and celebrate your journey. So for our entrepreneurs that are listening to this and you want to take better care of your business, which helps you take better care of your mind, body, and soul, don't hesitate to reach out to Mary. I believe you offer a complimentary 30-minute focus session where you can talk to people and really go through what are some things you can do right now, today, to make your business more enjoyable and to celebrate your success, to celebrate your wins, even if it feels like you're not having any of that. I guarantee you are. You are. So Mary does so many things for the community. And yeah, I'm celebrating you.
Thank you. Yes. I am just so blessed to be able to work with entrepreneurs. I love working with entrepreneurs, particularly women. To see them take an idea out of their head and turn it into a business. It's just amazing. And then see that success that they get to have, the confidence they get to build. And most of my clients are service-based businesses. So they're by providing their service, building their business, they're helping their clients with whatever their service is. So it's just such a fun thing and such a joyful thing for me to get to be a part of and to be a witness to. And I just love it.
Yeah, I do too. So, so we've gone over so much today, and what we talked about in the very beginning. You had mentioned one thing: decision fatigue. It is a real thing. I've been going through it the past couple weeks because there's some big decisions that I'm making about where I'm spending my time, who I'm spending that time with, and it's hard. It's hard to make smart decisions. So food should be the easiest decision that we have, and you are making that happen. So
Yes.
are there any final thoughts that we want to share about this specific topic?
Like I said, this system is something I've used my whole life, and so I don't really know any other way to do it. But if you haven't ever sat down and made a grocery list or had a plan of what you're going to eat for the week, try this out. I have several versions of this system available, so you can do a digital download as long as you print it out. Like I said, again, it's meant to be printed out. Or you can just buy the planner pad, or I have a whole kit if you want to give it as a gift to a new college graduate or a new, a working mom, a busy mom, or a family that somebody that needs this in their life. Then, there's multiple ways you can purchase this, but really trying to take that 30 minutes of planning time, and it can really make a difference in your week, in the stress level of your day, in the connection that you have to your family over eating a meal together, and saving money on the food that you're buying and investing in for your health.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So how can people get a hold of you? How can people access this program? What are those avenues?
Yeah, so it will be live on Friday, April 2nd. So we're just doing some final tweaks to the website and making sure everything works the way it's supposed to work, and everything with all the different ways you can purchase the system. But it will be ready on April 2nd, and you can go to magicmealplan.com. For the resource that I mentioned earlier for the 10 must-stock items and your recipes, you can go to my business website, which is successmagnified.com, and go to the resources page. So successmagnified.com, and you do the /resources, or just go to the resources page on the menu, and you can find that download there. It will be up, the link will be up and running definitely by this afternoon if it's not already. So I have somebody working on that, but you can go and download that, and then watch for the meal planner to launch. If you are an entrepreneur and have a business and you just want somebody to talk to about what's going on in your business, just have a second set of ears, eyes, whatever. I do offer a free 30-minute consult. It's called a focus session. So we can, again, kind of see the big picture and then break it down into what are the small steps that you can be doing right now to improve your business. So the link will be in here, but you can also find that on my website, successmagnified.com. And there's a link to book your free 30-minute focus session. And then for people that just like tips, like Alex is fantastic at giving away all this information and sharing these fun things that she learns. I have a newsletter called the Fab Friday newsletter, and it's Fab stands for Fun Action Business. So there's a little bit of fun every Friday. There's always an action item you could be taking in your business. That's a simple one-step thing, and there's something about your business to grow your business, or something that I'm doing in my business so you can be inspired, hopefully. So that's free. You can sign up on the top part of my website as well. So go to successmagnified.com. You can find all those resources there.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, thank you so much for carving out time in your day to come onto the show and share all this amazing information with our audience. I know everyone really appreciates it, and I hope that everyone who's listening takes advantage of the program, and that you have a magic meal planning system, and that you can work with Mary and get to know her. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alex, for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Yep, you're welcome. I'm going to end the broadcast, and then we'll meet back. So don't move, and then you and I will talk before we wrap things up. Okay.
Sounds good.